Hello. Just waiting on Kyle. Um, and I'll use this time to say that I don't I don't understand why it's so hard to save those videos and then put them on my IGTV. I'm obviously really bad at this stuff. So if anyone knows how to do it, I know that there is supposed to come there's supposed to be like a little icon that comes that asks you to save it, but that didn't happen last time. So I had to record it, and then upload it, and it was a whole thing. So I think it may have something to do with the length of the video. I'm not sure, but hello everyone. Thank you for joining. I hope Kyle knows how. Oh, yep, seems like he does. Hello.
Hey,
I swear to God, I thought this wasn't gonna happen.
really?
Yeah,
Why?
you're such a white whale in the Poldark community.
What does that mean?
I don't know. I just feel like you haven't been around for a while, and I wasn't sure if we were going to be able to catch you. But we're all happy and welcome.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
Did you manage to get your shopping done?
Yeah, but it's like terrifying, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah,
like I always leave the house feeling like, okay, this is going to be fine, and then I come back to the house like just a mess of anxiety and like, yeah,
yeah.
convinced it was a bad idea.
Do you like wear gloves and a mask and everything?
I mean, no, that's probably why I come back a heaping mess of anxiety. But like I'm hand sanitizing the shit out of everything and
And the wipe down the groceries.
yeah, and like we only go into a shop like maybe once every 12 days.
Yeah,
So it feels like okay.
as space it out as much as you can. But it seems like every time you go back, it's like the line is longer and the
Yeah.
yeah.
And also there are other people that just don't really seem to give a fuck about this 6 feet rule.
Yeah, there's always someone trying to like sneak in or
Yeah. Or just like rub up against me while I'm like trying to get a potato. And it's just
yeah, that's true.
it
And
just
I
sends
think
me a bit of yeah.
what I find the most shocking is how many people are waiting outside, and then when you're inside, there are so many people in the store,
Yeah.
and you're just like, maybe let less people in the store, and we'll have to wait longer. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't
I,
think we figured out the right system yet, but then people gotta eat, so I don't
I
know.
know. What are you guys
Oh,
cooking?
Oh, for dinner we haven't quite decided yet. Um, we've been like, and this has been the cool thing about
Quarantine.
just like stocking up on stuff and but not overstocking and just trying to figure out what's in the pantry and
Yeah.
coming up with kind
Wait.
of unique
Yeah.
dinners for like the ingredients that you have and like
Yeah.
there's no reason that I should look at like Swiss chard and chocolate and be like those two things go together, but like trying to you know pair things out and just make do. So that's been fun.
Yeah. No, I've been enjoying cooking as well.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Yeah. So usually, how we do this is just, yeah, we start sort of looking at the questions, saying if there's anything that you want to respond to. Um, it's usually Poldark related.
Okay.
Um, I usually just sort of start talking about kind of how, like, what our relationship is and how it, like, how we met and stuff like that. Do you
Yeah.
remember?
We met on the train.
And we were dressed the same.
Yeah.
I remember, I
Which is
remember.
a good sign for people that are supposed to fall in love. So
Yeah,
maybe, yeah.
we had like denim jackets and like a black beanie and Doc Martens and black
Yeah,
jeans, and I was like, this guy's dressed like the boy version of me.
yeah. I was like, I got on the train and on that car, and like I saw you, and I was like, and you were kind of looking around, and I was like, she probably could be an actor. And then you were dressed like me. I was like, you're definitely an actor. You're definitely you're in Poldark. Yeah,
Yeah, and that was a train on the way to like a kind of like a screen test, wasn't it?
that's right. Yeah, yeah. I forgot about that screen test.
And that was
Actually,
weird because I wasn't sure what it was because like here we don't really do screen tests, do we?
yeah, right.
And so we were all kind of out going like, is this
I
not
got you.
is this not over? Are we do we have the roles? But really it was just about like hair and costume.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like once we got there, we had a lovely chat. Like the whole entire train journey, we like did like the hour and a half instant download of like each other's lives and
Yeah,
stuff, and it was
yeah.
super great. But then, yeah, I remember like stepping into that studio and being like, "Oh, nothing is certain. I probably, this was a mistake. They're just testing me out. They're testing everybody out against Aiden and seeing if everybody looks worse than he does." And then like I still don't I have the job. Like at the end of the day, I was like, this is so weird. I'd never done anything like it before. Uh,
In what way?
like a screen test thing, which and they were being so nice and being like, oh, you guys look amazing. We're just trying to figure out everybody's look. But I feel like the way that those things are set up, like your actor brain just goes into overdrive and you're like, well, if I don't look right in this costume, then it's not the costume, it's me. And like if
Yeah,
I look in the light like good in the lighting, then it's not the lighting, it's me, and I'm not meant to play this part. And like maybe I can't
yeah,
play 18th century English gentry like being a
yeah. I
weird
mean,
American. Do you know what I mean? Like my
a lot,
actor brain just goes fucking weird.
I know a lot of people are saying that they're surprised that you're American. Sorry, everyone's saying that my video is blurry. Is it blurry from your side?
You're blurry for me, yeah.
I don't really know what to do
Am I
about
blurry for you?
it. No, you're like very clear.
Oh, good. Okay.
Let me see. I don't really know what to do about that. I'm like in the best spot for Wi-Fi, but I can move around and see if it works. Is that better?
Kind of the same. Oh, a little bit better.
Like really blurry.
No, not super blurry, but just like not crisp.
Okay, well, we'll just have to deal with that, guys. Yeah, no, oh, yes, I know I'm blurry. I don't, I think it is probably internet-based issues. You are right.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Well, you always
Okay.
look fantastic, so everybody can just
Oh,
be fine
bless you.
with that. Yeah.
Thank you, and you. Yeah, no, I remember feeling insecure about that time, and I felt like I looked completely ridiculous with a huge hair, and I actually ended up emailing the producers and being like, I don't know if that's Elizabeth because like I
Yeah,
saw
yeah,
her
yeah.
a little differently.
It's just like I totally. But the women, are dealing with 100 other things that the guys don't have to deal with in those period dramas and stuff.
Yeah,
But I do remember feeling like everything that you're wearing, everything that your character sort of has on, just feels so huge and over the top.
I
And
know. Do
trying
you
to get
remember that
comfortable with that
picture?
was like, yeah,
Do you remember that picture of you in that hat that like someone had like clearly increased the size of the hat, but it was like really hard to see how. So it just looked like that you were like Willy Wonka.
hey, that whenever we see each other, you get that picture out and you show it to everybody. How could I forget?
Yeah. You also have a portrait of you that's less than flattering.
Yes, I do. I now have two portraits, actually. I have that original portrait from season one that was, I think, they just found someone that kind of looked like me and then took a shot of him like passing by and then painted this portrait. I mean, that makes it sound awful. I mean, I don't really see myself in it,
No, it was
nor
fun.
do many people.
We wanted to give it to you at the end, didn't we?
Yeah.
Or
Um,
was it the good one or the bad one?
the bad one. But it's got everybody's like everybody wrote a message on the back. It's lovely.
Oh yeah.
I've got it hanging up, and it's a
Do you
nice.
actually?
Yeah. It's like you can't really see it. I've also got the small one from season 2. You remember they did another portrait? Like they had this guy come in,
Yeah,
and
you had a good one, didn't you?
yeah, and I did this like sitting for him, and he took loads of photographs, and I was in costume and stuff, and then he paints. I got a small miniature of that.
Oh, that's not. That's a good one.
That's a good one, and it's hanging by my fireplace,
Oh, love.
which
But
feels rather
where's
indulgent
the
and
big
strange.
one?
The whack one is there.
Oh
I
my
mean,
God.
it's
I I love.
is
I
that for a
know.
while? I don't
Oh,
know.
you know this. Oh, this was kind of. Oh, it's all coming back to me now. You had quite a time in that day that we were testing out the hair, didn't you? Because they kept trying to make it longer.
Hey, I had about like I had like 6 different wigs or something, and
And that portrait looks like how they kind of wanted your hair to look like.
yeah, this is what I mean. It's like they sort of went, well, this is what we want him to look like, and we're just gonna paint a version of his face and a version of the hair that isn't him at all. Because
Mm,
I'd done a job earlier in the year. When did we start? We started in like April.
yeah, you were doing the hollow crown, right?
Mm, that was before second season. That was before season 2, I think. I think before season 1, I had short hair because I did a job earlier in the year where I was in the military and my hair was super short and it was growing out. And they tried to figure out a way to like
And you
get
had
the
to
wig.
like how to make this in short hair is like a complete.
I had hair kind of probably the length that it is now, maybe a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And then they gave me hair extensions because none of the wigs worked. And so I had these like hair plugs like
Yeah.
throughout
I
season.
remember it was a complete nightmare. But I'm so glad you have that portrait, and so we wrote on the back of it, didn't we?
Yeah, everybody. When I left, halfway through season 2, I got shot out before Christmas, I think. You all gave me that with everybody's message on the back. You gave me like a pack of the playing cards that Jack and I first played with on set.
Yeah.
What
You and Jack
else?
are really into the actual card games.
The actual game of PK, which is
Yeah.
quite difficult. Nobody really plays it apart from, I think, people of a certain age and inclination.
Right.
But it's super fun. We really got into it so hard.
Do you
Yeah.
still remember it?
Kind of. I mean, yeah, it takes a game to get into it. And then it's like, we played PK all the time.
I remember. We felt very left out because we
like
all
whenever we went to the pub after or like just on set, we were just playing PK.
We all like to play cards, and you guys were like, no, we want to play this game. We have to practice.
Yeah, we went method on it. But we all played games together. I remember, didn't you teach us an Icelandic card game or something?
Yeah, there's a few good ones. Very simple.
Yeah.
I guess we went to Iceland. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it is on my Instagram a little bit, but it was me and you and Jack and Eleanor and Ruby. We all went to Iceland.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite vacations ever.
It was
so good.
There were a lot of elements that had to kind of go right in order for that to all line, like everything just lined up. The stars literally lined up because we
literally the stars lined up.
Didn't we?
There wasn't even like we weren't even supposed to get the Northern Lights, were we?
No, it was the end of August, so that was really, really early for them.
Yeah, and then like I remember we were in a bar in Reykjavik, and you all of a sudden like you were here in the bar, and the bar was rammed, Everybody was having a lot of fun. And then all of a sudden you disappeared because people were talking in Icelandic, and you ran outside, and you were like outside the bar just going, like looking up at the sky. And you're
Oh,
like, oh,
people
so
saying, oh, right. Well, people telling me that the Northern Lights.
yeah. And you
I,
were like, no,
oh,
no, like they were drunk, like it's not going to happen or whatever. And then we had gone to your grandma's, was it your grandma's place in the
yeah,
country?
cottage.
Yeah. And we were in a hot tub sipping on like Prosecco. And then all of a sudden the Northern Lights were just like above the hot tub. It was
Listening
amazing.
to Joni Mitchell.
Listening to Joni Mitchell. I mean,
It was unbelievable.
yeah.
Am I suddenly darker?
You're a lot clearer.
Okay, it's
Yeah.
just my phone.
It's
My
working.
phone.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to like also follow questions. So it's a little frozen at the moment, but a question that came up was, do we have a favorite scene together or a funny, or okay,
Like a funny.
all good. You there?
Good. Yeah, I'm here.
Do we have a favorite scene together? I mean, this is weird because we haven't we've been in touch, but we haven't discussed like working together, like
In a
Elizabeth
long time.
Francis in years.
Yeah. Years. It's funny, right? Like that was in a way, because I was only at the beginning, that was so long ago.
I know.
And
It was like it felt more important because we were all going through this together. It was
for
the
the first
first.
time.
It's all first, and so it's sort of is I think the strongest in the memory and just the most exciting as well.
Yeah. I remember, I'm not just saying this, but because most of my scenes were with you and it was during the first season, I have so many lovely memories of the things that we experienced together. But like
Same.
um it's hard to like pin them down. Like I kind of
We
love.
did a lot of dancing, didn't we?
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say, I probably should say when we got married. I mean, that'd be the right thing to do. But I
Well, for you maybe, for like Francis maybe, like
but
like
not for Elizabeth.
literally during the wedding, didn't she like have like a thing with Ross?
Look, if you really want to get into this, this is really triggering for me. And
Oh,
we can
really?
go there. We can go there.
Okay. I think we should just. Oh, do you remember? That's always been my favorite kind of scene of Francis. Well, I have two actually. Um, you know the like the first kind of ball party scene we did when like George kind of plants the seed in Francis's head about like there is like still something going on with them,
Yeah,
and they're and Elizabeth and Ross are dancing, and then you that's kind of where your jealousies kind of start to
yeah,
in fester.
yeah.
um I always loved that. I thought that was a great scene. And then I thought my favorite scene of yours of all time, I think, is the one that you had with Demelza before
Yeah, I love that scene.
before Francis died. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that scene when also I think it was just because it's wrapped up in finishing the job as well. It was just kissing you goodbye before going to the mine for the last time.
I said that too,
I can
even though I
like
was asleep.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um that was always really special. I loved some of our scenes where we weren't happy with each other too. I know that sounds weird.
No, no, no,
But
no.
just
It's
because of
like
like the acting that we got to do together, like you coming out to see me in the fields when I was all pissed off and angry.
yes, I like that one. We did way more outside stuff also,
Yeah,
just because we were younger and we were still riding a lot of horses, and you were doing because you had blown all our money, so you were doing all the like physical
well,
labor.
yeah. I mean, if look, I've got my reasons,
Oh
and
yeah. Jealousy and inferiority and ego
I mean, I needed love. I
and
didn't get
entitlement.
love. I wanted affection and attention, didn't get it. And so, yeah, I just needed to spend that money on my owns.
Yeah, fair enough.
Um,
Are you seeing questions come up?
yes, but I'm not reading them because I'm bad at this.
Okay, because
Oh, do
my
I have a coach for the accents? I did not have a coach for the accents. I went to drama school and like Heather.
same.
And
We didn't.
yeah, no, we you just I got accent training when I was at RADA in doing RP and regional accents in the UK, and I just worked really hard at it. And um, I don't think we didn't really even have somebody on set keeping tabs on us, did we? It was more up to the kind of director and the fellow actors, but
Yeah,
I,
we were lucky. I keep shouting. I'm like just like my mom with technology now. I'm like, you don't have to shout, and I keep doing it. So I'm like trying to. Yeah, we were the actors that. First of all, I would never have been in Poldark if I had to do a Cornish accent. I would never have been able to pull it
oh
off.
yeah, me either. Yeah, totally.
So the people that did RP, which is the sort of standard British accent, upper middle class, I guess, or upper. They sort of, it's for actors. It's kind of most of us kind of have to and just have to have it at our disposal. But the
Yeah,
people that did Cornish, they did get help, and they had a
that's
dialect.
right. That's right. Yeah, I forgot about that actually.
Yeah.
I guess because we never use them. Um, yeah.
No, no.
What do I love the most about the character? Um, one of the things I love most about Francis is what initially attracted me to playing the part, I guess, was his journey and the range that he would have to experience. And I think I always saw someone who was perhaps never he never really experienced the love that he should have received maybe from his father, and as a result had this inferiority complex that was just increased by his friendship with Ross, because um, technically everything should have gone right in his adoration and love for Elizabeth, but
Mm.
he was unwitting in knowing that he was entering into a love triangle. And um and so I think like his kind of self-flagellation was something I think interesting to experience from an acting perspective. But I always saw that there was hope there in Francis, and that he was really a kind, strong person, but he just didn't know really where to direct that strength, and he didn't have the proper outlet. And like when you're in a kind of really messed up um, relationship in terms of love. Um, Thankfully, that hasn't happened to me, but I can see how that would just he'd turn on himself. And so,
Yeah.
but knowing that his resurgence in season two, his rebirth, as it were, that was something to kind of work towards, knowing that it could go like that.
Mm.
And really, like at the end of the day, he just um, he becomes a family man. And where we end up in season two was just like, it was heartbreaking for me because I knew it was
Yeah.
all just going to be taken away so quickly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a very well-rounded character in this, in only a season and a half. It's crazy to think that it wasn't actually.
Yeah. And um, he gets to ride horses, which was cool. I think we're now on a delay. you hear me? Because I can't hear you. Uh-oh. I can't hear you. Speak to me. What happened to you? Where did you go? How do we get your mic back on? Or is it me? Is it me or is it you? I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I can't read lips. Cancel? Okay. Cancel?
Okay. Let's try this again. Okay, we'll try this again. Now I'm on my iPad. Hopefully, Kyle understood that he needs to call back. Call back. Okay, he said cool. So, the internet. Yeah, no, I know everyone's really confused about my accent, and so am I. So it just kind of comes and goes, depending on who I'm speaking to. But yeah, please keep the questions coming, and we'll answer some questions, and hopefully the Wi-Fi is going to be better on. Yeah, this is my iPad, so maybe I should be doing it on my iPad. My phone was also getting like insanely warm for some reason. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so please put in some questions so we can, answer as many as possible. Okay, I'm on my iPad now, and so we shouldn't have any more issues, and I think that's what was.
Heather, what the hell?
I know. Ugh. You think the problem with chatting to people now is that it involves technology, and even though this is delightful, I'm not very tech savvy.
I remember.
Oh, you do? So are there any questions that you saw that you were trying to answer or that we didn't?
I saw someone ask right before we finished, what was it like filming the dueling scene?
Oh, yeah.
And that was super fun.
That was cool.
That was amazing. I mean, we got to use these old antique weapons. Richard was amazing. Such a cool guy and amazing.
Yeah, he was awesome.
With.
Very funny.
It was super funny. Super just like, the best. The best. That was such a good group of people.
Yeah, it was
Like, that doesn't happen all the time. It's like a really, really good group of people that got together.
Yeah, and I think that probably had a lot to do with the success of the show.
Yeah.
Obviously the writing and everything, but just kind of like the morale was really good.
Yeah.
But anyway,
for sure.
Yeah, you had to shoot the pistols, right?
I had to shoot the pistol. I had to do that, like, the scene that you like. I've read about it so many times. I've seen it on so many old films of like, the duel scene when you put your back to somebody, you walk away, you turn around and you shoot. And I was like, I sort of never ever thought that I would be in a scene like that because it's
Yeah.
such a like an archetypal period drama thing.
Yeah.
It was just really cool.
It
It was
was
like
cool.
it was like spoke to the little child in me, and I had to get like super irate and angry and on a high horse um and yeah and throw down and then obviously suck at it. But but I think like that's one of the things that like I look back on Francis and I'm sad about how he really when he's at his worst, I'm sad about how he treats the people he loves most.
Hmm.
And I mean, we do that in life, don't you? Like you're hardest on the people that are closest to you.
Yeah.
And Elizabeth, but also Verity, and like that relationship, partly due to the fact because I love Ruby so much, but
I know.
um,
Oh yeah,
how
he was
hard
not
he is
nice.
on Verity. But that's like
Yeah, that was
that's
really sad.
but that's also the period, unfortunately as well.
Yeah.
I'm in no way condoning it.
No.
I'm trying to get into his head, um, and yeah, so that his whole like I suppose it's misdirected kind of anger, right? Because
Mm.
there was only so much that he could be angry with you, with Elizabeth, for
Yeah.
mostly to do with Ross, but he couldn't really do anything about it. And so you take that out on someone else. And
Yeah.
that was Verity throwing her life away, quote unquote, which
Yeah.
actually sounded like an incredible life to me at that time.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was sad. Verity was the you were the only character that ever had any like no there. Yes, you were the only character that ever had any beef with Verity because like
I know. She's like the
everybody
nicest
loves
person
her.
in the show.
I know. She was the only one like not
Yeah, trust
causing
Francis to
issues.
have beef with the nicest person in Poldark.
Yeah. Um, yeah, no, it was really special. And we had, the first season was, I mean, I keep saying that it was filmed in the spring as opposed to the winter, which was the second season. And it just made a big difference, didn't it?
It was also just insane weather that year, wasn't it?
It was really, really good.
Yeah.
And we spent a long time down in Cornwall, didn't we?
Yeah. And like, God, the weather was just insane. And it shows in the first season. I mean, the water looks Mediterranean.
I
And
know.
it
In
just,
fact, they were worried about that. They were like, it
yeah,
doesn't
they thought,
look like Cornwall. It
yeah,
looks like
yeah.
the Caribbean. And it's, I don't know if they were like, we're not sure it's going to work.
Yeah, I remember that, actually. I remember that.
Did you have any Cornish pasties? Someone asked.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah.
You kidding? Totally. I remember
Yeah.
I first went to Cornwall, maybe in like 2000. I did a Globe tour. I was at the Globe, and then we did a tour around over the summer. We went
What
to the
play did you do?
It was Midsummer.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Did
And
you go to the Minack?
we went to the Minack.
Oh, wow. I
And
love
that
that.
was just, that was insane because you're performing on a cliffside
It's
with like
unbelievable. It's my
dolphins in the
favorite. It's
background.
that's Porthcurno is my favorite beach.
Yeah, yeah, same. It was amazing.
How
And
about cream tea?
oh my God, yeah.
Yeah.
But
There's controversy about whether you put jam on first
yeah,
or clotted cream. Which do you go?
to be honest, I've spoken to so many people about this. As far as I'm concerned, as long as jam and cream and the cake are going in your mouth, that's really all that matters. I mean,
But
whichever
what like
first.
ratio do you like? Like what do you prefer? Do you prefer like equal ratio or do you like one or the other more?
I'm an equal ratio kind of
Really?
person.
You
Yeah,
can't
but
have as much jam as cream.
I think that goes back to me like being I guess you can't have as much jam as cream. Then that would be
You
sort of
could if you had not very much cream.
that might be overdose. I don't really know. Maybe I have just a little bit more cream than jam. I
Cream
think that must
first,
be
I
what I
think.
do. Because like growing up on peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, like
Oh yeah.
I probably put as much
Of
jam
both.
as yeah, I think I did. I'm a
Would
big
you
confident person. I like big tastes, I think. I think I like to overdo things.
would you have crunchy peanut butter or smooth?
Oh, crunchy.
Yeah. You know,
All
I've never
always.
had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich ever. Uh,
How do we know each other?
I
How do
don't know
we have
because
this?
we
How are we
actually
still
do.
friends?
Do you remember in Iceland we actually realized that we did have a lot in common in terms of our childhoods,
Yeah.
and just like the foods that we ate and the programs that we watched and all that stuff. And I have the
Yeah.
same thing with my husband who's American.
Yeah.
Weirdly, Iceland is like this tiny little America, which makes sense because we were
Because of
occupied
the
by
war,
it.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember when we went into the supermarket, there was just all this like American like
Stuff
food.
you can't get here.
Yeah. And I was like, this is too Twilight Zone for me. Like this feels very
And the
strange.
hot dogs. Do you remember the hot dogs?
Yes.
Were you a vegetarian then? No.
Was I? No, I think I actually maybe that was the last piece of meat I ate.
No reflection on the hot dog though.
No reflection on the Icelandic hot dogs, no, which were probably imported from America.
Yeah.
But no. I think it was in between one and two where I stopped eating meat.
Yeah, and
I
then
think
most
that's
of us
right.
did for a while.
Yeah.
Um, Ruby's fully vegetarian. Jack kind of, I think is fully vegetarian now. I went vegan for a while, and now I kind of have like a bit of dairy and this and that.
Yeah. It's hard to give up a croissant. It's
But you
really
know
hard
what?
with butter.
A croissant isn't always uh, very often you can have a vegan croissant because it's made with margarine.
Yeah. Butter's so much better.
That's true. Are you baking?
Yes, a lot. Yeah. We just like cooking most of the time
Yeah.
during this lockdown, which means there's just like quadruple the amount of washing up that I've ever seen.
I know there's a lot of washing up. I don't like
So
that part. And
much.
we don't have a dishwasher.
I know, right?
Do
Same.
you? Do you have a dishwasher?
No,
Oh
no.
man.
Um, but it's like I guess because you never usually eat 3 meals at home.
That's true. That's
And
true. But we must be
yeah,
saving money,
I think
I think.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess it's been a while since you left Poldark and you have, you did a few things in between, didn't you? But mostly you've been doing the inheritance, right?
Yeah. Uh,
Because that was going on for what, 2 years?
2 years. Yeah. So we just finished in New York a month ago, and I started rehearsing for that in January 2018.
Hmm. That's a
Well,
lot.
it's been a
What's
while.
it and you're done with that now.
Yeah, finished. I mean, the play itself is actually going to go to the Geffen next year.
Where's that?
That's in LA. The Geffen is like a receiving house, a little bit like what is a theater that it's like in London? I can't really think, but it's kind of a small receiving house, and sometimes they do their own stuff. Um,
And are you gonna go or maybe you don't know, you can't talk about that right now.
yeah, probably not talk about that right now.
Okay. Okay.
But
There were some questions. People want to know what it was like for you to work with Vanessa Redgrave.
oh my God, I mean,
What a bitch, right?
yeah. Oh, the worst, just the worst. No, she was unbelievably inspiring.
I can
Like
imagine.
when we first started, she was 81, 82. She was turning 82.
Wow.
And you're asking a person to come in at 10 p.m. and
Yeah.
steal the show. And it's like
Yeah.
a massive scene where you have a monologue. And that's a big ask of anybody, let
Yeah.
alone someone who's 82. And she just had like she's just so on it. She was so with it and fired up about politics and about so many things. And she just had this life force. She had that. She was frail when we started because she'd had a health scare the year before. But it was just that thing where the first preview she went out, she got under the lights. heard the audience, and she was just on.
Yeah, she was great.
It was amazing. And like,
Yeah.
I got to work with Lois Smith, you know, on Broadway, who is in East of Eden with James Dean, and
Wow.
one of her many, many claims to fame.
Who
And
is she in East of Eden?
she plays, you have to look up, and people have to look up. There's a screen test, speaking of screen tests, between James Dean and Lois Smith on YouTube. And somebody set it to this music in the background, but it's just them, not speaking, just like their heads very close to one another. Like,
Wow.
those sort of moving around. It's the most beautiful, beautiful thing.
Wow, that must have been
And
amazing. Did she just
yeah,
tell you amazing stories?
yeah. And she's got the best memory of,
Yeah.
and she's, oh gosh, I've sort of now forgotten how old she is. She's a little older than Vanessa.
Yeah.
And and she yeah, you know, sharing a vodka martini and a cigarette with her, like,
Oh my
after a
God.
show. And she was Steppenwolf, you know, and she's got stories from way,
Steppenwolf, wow.
and she's just an amazing thing. And like, even working with somebody like Warren Clark, right?
Yes, the questions are coming up now about Warren and Caro.
Yeah, man. And Caro, being able to work with people, like, acting affords you such an incredible connection to history, and like, and people who've been in the business for decades and decades, and like
They
Warren's
have the
story,
best
and
stories.
yeah, and Caro's stories are like
Caro's worked with everyone.
everybody, right? Like,
You know,
yeah,
I've been in like small theater companies with them, and you know, before anyone knew who they were, and yeah, Warren, you know, his Clockwork Orange story, and you know, everything about Stanley Kubrick and how long it took to make the film. And
you remember that story as well? What was that one with? Wasn't it Clint Eastwood? Where it was after Clockwork Orange, and or no, it was Charlton Heston,
oh yeah.
and he went to go test for a film after Clockwork, and Charlton Heston was like, "I want you to be in this film." He was like,
No, it was Roman Polanski.
"Is this the one about the horse, though?"
Oh, maybe not. I know that there was a Roman Polanski film that he was supposed to do, and then
Mm-hmm.
he wasn't able to. He didn't end up being able to do it because Kubrick wouldn't finish the film.
Yeah, yeah, that's it.
Was
So that's that one. This is a separate one where
oh okay.
he's like, "You've got the part," but then he got a call like the next day or the next week, and it was like, "Charlton wants you to fly out to Spain early." And so he gets there, and he realizes that like he's at the hotel, doesn't really know like why he's there, what he's doing, what's going on. Somebody knocks on his door, and it's Charlton. He's like, "Let's go for a ride." Because like the whole thing with this film is that they're like on horseback for the entire thing, and they're filming in Spain with these like
Wow.
beautiful horses, and he doesn't know how to ride a fucking horse. And so he's like,
Right.
"All right, Charlton, like, let's go, let's do it." He gets
And
out.
Charlton Heston was like a Wild West, like a Western, like,
Oh yeah.
right? Yeah.
And so then they get out, they drive out to the wilderness, they get these horses. He's like, "All right, let's see what you can do." And before anything can happen, his horse just like runs off with him on it. And he's just like going and he's going and he's going, and everything's fine. He's like, "Oh, I've got this. I've got the role. I'm doing this. I've never ridden a horse in my life." And then all of a sudden he starts doing this. And then this. And then it just starts tipping over until he's horizontal. And he's like, "I don't know what to do. I don't know."
And he was just like
He's
holding
just
on
holding
for dear
on
life.
for dear life. Yeah. And then I think eventually he like jumped off, but kind of like styled it out.
Yeah.
And Charlton rode up and like found him, and he's like, "Oh, I fucked this up. Like, I've lost the job. I'm like never gonna work again.
Oh
This is
man.
my first big shot with the Hollywood thing." Charlton comes up and just goes, "That's the best goddamn horse riding I've ever seen in my life."
Amazing.
And he had a million stories like that, didn't he?
I know he did. It was wonderful. It's a real privilege. I mean, he was gone too early, bless him, but it
Yeah.
was a real privilege to be the final people he worked with, and you could tell it meant a lot to him. And I don't know, like maybe I'm just kind of sentimental, but wasn't there like an air about him that kind of you felt like he sort of knew that this may be the end? I mean, maybe we weren't sure he knew that he was sick, but he was always saying like cherish it, like um, you know, be grateful, and he was so grateful to be there, and there was really like an air of him. You could feel that there was a part of him sort of saying goodbye to at least a part of his life.
I remember a lot of joy kind of surrounding him. I mean, he had
Yeah,
this acerbic wit and stuff, but everything that you just said, where he was really encouraging people to enjoy life. And
yeah.
that was around the time that that song Happy was out.
Oh yeah.
Remember how often he would like want to listen to that? And he's just like, he really, I think we all felt in hindsight, everything's so much clearer, but it certainly did feel like he was
Yeah, weighing
maybe
it
saying
all.
goodbye. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, it was like I don't know, when we heard he passed away, it's somehow a lot of the stuff he said made more sense, kind of, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And then with Carol, I mean, she is still sharp as a what do you say, tack?
Back.
Yeah, I was like, tick. No, that's not the right thing. Bear in mind, guys, I am not. This is not my first language.
Yeah.
Um,
Hear
she's
that.
still sharp as a
Hear
tack.
that
She
out.
is probably
Get.
85 or more.
Yeah. I don't want to guess.
No,
But
I
she's
don't
in
want to
her
guess
80s. Yeah.
either. I know that she's probably 85.
Okay.
But I am, yeah, I guess I am guessing. No, she's great, and we do keep in touch with her. We all went to see her. I guess it's been a while now, but I've seen her since.
Yeah.
She's just the most vivacious woman. I mean,
Yeah. And so elegant and so witty and so she really cared as well. Like it was,
really cared.
yeah, it was, she cared about the job, but she cared about us, I think. And
Yeah, she taught me something. I had a really lovely afternoon with her one time where we went to see like we because we were close to the watershed in Bristol, who did like
right.
really really good films, and we saw this Clifford Odette film, I think it was. Oh, great. Now I don't remember what it's called. The Knife or something like that.
Okay.
It was about an actor who was like trying to get out of the industry, but everyone was like blackmailing him in order to stay.
Right.
God, that's so irritating. I don't remember. Anyway, we were having tea before, and she told me, and I will always remember that she said, anyone who makes you feel like less of an actor because you took a role that's not big enough or not like flashy enough is not your friend. Like any opportunity to act, it is an opportunity,
Yeah.
well spent, and that's where you get to practice your craft, and
Yeah.
where you get to really hone your
Your
talent and your work.
your passion. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was
It's
like
an
she doesn't.
opportunity to connect with your passion, and like that's your life force. And
Yeah,
that's so powerful. Yeah.
yeah, and she was just when she left the show, I was completely beside myself because you had left, and Ruby wasn't really there anymore,
Yeah.
and and so she was, and then obviously Charles had left, and then it was like the end of Trenwith, kind of. I was the only kind of original, well, I wasn't really original, but you know what I mean,
You're
as
right.
an original Trenwith member.
Yeah. Right.
And I was like, I can't lose my friend, like my lady friend who's always there chatting with me on the train, but she's still around and she's in good spirits, so
Yeah. I love her.
she was awesome. Kyle, what was it like winning the Olivier?
Oh my God. That was an out of body experience.
That's unbelievable.
That was crazy. Super crazy. I don't know any other way to describe it. It felt particularly odd considering that play, The Inheritance, was just about the ensemble, about so many
Yeah,
people.
yeah,
And it was lovely, really, to be recognized.
Yeah.
I think particularly because everybody that participated in that play gave so much of themselves to it,
Yeah.
and a lot of our lives were consumed by it
Yeah.
while doing it. Like life didn't exist on the
No,
outside.
I can imagine. Did you have a preference to part one or part two? Did you prefer one to the other to do?
Oh man,
Or was it just like sometimes I like this, sometimes I like that?
I think I always preferred part one.
Yeah.
I
Why
think
do you think that is?
I think the journey in it as a whole was cleaner and maybe um, we always liken part one to sort of being a machine,
Yeah.
kind of in a good way. Like you get on the track and it just chugs to the end.
Yeah.
Its structure is really clean and kind of effortless and really easy for us to do and really easy for the audience to get on board with. But then by part two, E.M. Forster, who's been helping the young men out with the story, is left.
Yeah.
And so then they try to make it up themselves for the rest of it, and it gets a little bit more disjointed and
Mm.
darker.
Like non-linear.
Yeah, and a bit darker and just a little bit more difficult to do. But what we did in New York, whereas over here we would alternate night by night, part one and part two,
Mm.
and then on a two-show day we do it all.
Like,
In
you
New
do it
York,
all?
part one and part
Oh,
two.
right. Yeah. Sorry, yeah.
And then in New York, on two-show days, we did part one and two. But then on the evening performances of Thursday and Friday, we just do part ones. So part two became only on Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday. So
Oh,
then it was
okay.
kind of special. So you were
Yeah.
only doing part two when you were doing the whole story.
Right, and it
And
felt better that way.
yeah, actually. And so like
Yeah.
weirdly in New York, I kind of liked doing part two.
Yeah.
But like for me, because of my journey in it, part one was just the best because the ending of
Yeah,
part
and you were
one.
like, young and hopeful in the beginning, and there's a lot more comedy in there.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, like it was particularly hard to do though because like in part one, like I also experienced like a massive breakup of 7 years, and then Trump gets elected, and then like this mentor that I've just found in my life, an older gay man, has just died, and so like these three blows happen sort of at once, and so like it's filled with a lot of pain, part one, and then part two is equally filled with a lot of pain. So it wasn't like there's no preferable side of um, pain management in terms of doing the play. Um,
yeah,
but I think the ending of part one is something that I'll never forget. I think, and doing it, it
that
never,
was beautiful.
yeah, it never got old. It was never, yeah, it just, it was kind of magic. Yeah.
Yeah, it really was magical. I would love to see it again if I ever get a chance to, yeah, be in the same place as it. And I always tell people to go see it. I mean, I know it's not on right now, but yeah. So to sort of finish off, a lot of people have been asking about the drowning scene. That's kind of a funny story of how you filmed it,
Oh man.
because it was kind of ridiculously silly, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was awful. It was like
And you did redo it, didn't you, to like
fucking
to make it look
awful.
even worse. You were just crawling on the floor, basically. We had these like we had basically for all the mining stuff, we had actual caves, didn't we, in the
That were
studio?
built, yeah,
Yeah.
that were built kind of like on stilts, so they looked like kind of like from the outside, kind of like a large sort of paper mache work
Yeah. It
or
was it was
something.
it was amazing.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah.
But then like, so uh, it was in this mine shaft that had been built kind of horizontally, and then there was this pool of water
Mm.
that was like the size of a kiddie pool, and there were all these.
You're drowning.
Yeah, you're like, but you're drowning. Remember, you're drowning. Like, well, I will literally have to lie flat and then like push water onto my face to try and make it look like I'm drowning because I can't go down far enough. Um,
I remember catching the end of it, like, and I couldn't see you because you were like way up in there, but I was watching the monitor, and your hand was grabbing that nail, wasn't it? And you were like, because your hand really hurt, and I could just hear the director be like, nail, nail, and you were like, more, grab it more, but it has to look like you can't hold. It was like a whole thing. It looked great though.
my hands and forearms were scratched to fuck by the end of that day.
Oh
And
man.
like, this is the first time we did it. The part of the problem was like they have dripping water coming in from the walls to make it look authentic and stuff, and it did.
Right.
But that dripping water would then go through the paint and the grit and then travel down into the pool of water that I was in. And then when I was trying to like grab onto the edges and stuff,
It was like wet.
in, and then I'd have to get into the water, and they wanted to film me in the water, and they'd be like, open your eyes. I'd be like, open my eyes, but there's just grit and mud and like rocks and stuff like getting into my eyes, and like,
oh, I didn't realize that.
And then I couldn't hear them because I was underwater, and then I'd come up and I'd have to pretend that I'm drowning, so I'm like sort of hyperventilating and then trying to take direction at the same time, and then looking for the nail and then not finding the nail because it was too dark.
Yeah.
And then like I'd have to put my legs underneath, and like I'd have to pull or like latch my foot around there were these pipes that were part of the set, I guess, and I'd have to kind of like, I found one and I pull myself under using that, but then like my leg would get hooked around that, and then I'd like start to freak out because I was pretending to be drowning and stuff.
Oh man, were you claustrophobic? Was it claustrophobic in there?
By the end of the day, yeah. I
Yeah.
but like we did that first day, it was like we did it, and then by the second day we had to do it. We got halfway through, and I had to take a step out. So I was like, I need to know that I'm not in here anymore because it was like way too much.
Yeah.
Wow,
Wow,
but Aiden was cool during that. He was super there and helpful. Yeah.
Yeah. He had a lot. I guess both of you had a lot in the mines, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah. He much more than I did, though, I think.
Yeah. I never I never stepped a foot in the mine. Quite rightly, except for, remember that like one of the first scenes we shot in Cornwall, I think, which was, I mean, it wasn't in the mine, but it was outside the mine when we opened a new mine. No, we closed the mine. You were there, right?
Yeah.
And you were being a dick.
That was
not you, but Francis was being a dick.
You being a dick. That was a cool scene. Is that when I write Resurgam on the on the thing? That was a cool scene.
Is that the mine you die in?
Yeah, that's our mine, isn't it?
I mean, to be honest, I couldn't.
Oh no, because the Ross and I opened a new mine, surely. Oh my god!
Oh yeah, you were really excited about
remember.
it. No, I remember because we also did a scene outside that mine when we opened it.
Yeah, it was a new mine, wasn't it? Everybody's gonna say I'm wrong and I'm the worst, but
Rambler.
I totally think we opened a new mine.
It was just hard to keep track of all the mines.
Hard to keep track of all the mines. Yeah.
So I saw it just to kind of round things up. It's round up, right?
Sure.
Or round off.
Round things off. Round things up.
Or round things off. Close. Yeah. How, you know what I'm trying to say.
I think so.
Oh, okay. Well,
we're gonna get to the point in the evening where you start forgetting how to speak English, because I love that moment.
After a couple glasses of wine, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I guess I don't need wine for that.
Wheel Grace. It was Wheel Grace. Thank you, everyone.
Wheel Grace. Thanks, guys. You guys are.
You would all remember. Yeah.
Yeah, way more knowledgeable than we are. Someone asked, what are you doing to stay creative in quarantine?
I meditate every morning.
Oh, you do? You're better than I am.
Yeah. Then I do some writing. And
wrap things up. Thank you. Sorry. Wrap things up.
Round things up. Yeah.
You writing?
Writing, and then poetry, and then there's enough kind of DIY little stuff to do around the flat that's keeping me creative. taking a walk in Highgate Woods every other day
Oh, you're lucky. The woods are
has
so nice.
has just been like life changing because there's so many more birds out now.
Yeah, and the parakeets.
Everything's
Do you
so
see the
quiet.
parakeets?
Yeah, yeah. Um, and that's actually really been nourishing, actually.
Yeah,
It's not
right.
something I would do every other day if this was what quote unquote normal, whatever it was that we were experiencing before coronavirus. I probably
Yeah,
wouldn't have gone for a walk every other day in Highgate Woods, but I'm loving it. And it's really helping me feel like relaxed and creative. And
yeah. It's a beautiful time
yeah,
up there right now. I mean, it's actually also Highgate Woods in October, like when it's all like orange and golden. It's
yeah, it's amazing.
beautiful too.
I've
Um,
got a whittling knife as well, so I'm competing with Jack on whittling
you're
projects.
whittling as well. You guys are
Yeah.
such old men. I love it.
Yeah.
You're gonna have a
If
whole
we're gonna
set.
find a way to play PK together, like online, we would totally do it. I'm sure that's actually totally possible.
I'm sure that's possible. You guys should try and set that up.
Yeah.
Although he has bad Wi-Fi, by the way. We tried this
No, I
and
know.
it went really, it went wrong. Yeah, it didn't go very well. I may try again, but we'll see. He's kind of a white whale too.
Yeah, for sure. But he doesn't. He's not even on Instagram, right?
No, he isn't, so it makes it harder.
Yeah.
So what's your how are you gonna spend the rest of the day?
What have I got to do today? I put up some plasterboard, so I probably need to finish that. I'm trying to build a brick wall in the garden for a back.
Wow, that's an ambitious project, kind of.
It won't be like too big. It'll be like probably like 4 or 5 bricks high. So it's picked up some mortar today, and
Nice.
like it's around that, and yeah, be outside because the sun is amazing. What about you?
Yeah. Well, I haven't actually been outside, so yeah, I should probably go out for a little walk and
It's super good out there. Yeah, get out there.
yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Maybe read a little bit.
Yeah. Are you
Yeah.
staying creative? What are you up to?
Yeah, I mean, I've actually been better at working out this during quarantine than ever in my life. I think it's because I don't have an excuse to do anything else. I'm like,
Yeah,
no, I'm
exactly.
actually going for runs and I'm doing workouts at home, and so I've been, I'm cooking really healthy. So that has been really fun. And so yeah, writing,
Great.
yeah, it's been good.
Nice.
It's good.
Nice.
Well, thank you so much for coming on
Totally.
this chat.
Totally.
It's been such a joy catching up.
Yeah. Same.
And thank you to everyone who tuned in and asked us questions. Sorry if we didn't get to them.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Sorry, I'm not a good. This is my first time doing this. I'm not a good multitasker, so I have.
No, yeah, it takes a while to start getting used to like listening and looking at the questions. But
I know.
no, I think you did great. It's been so lovely to catch up,
I'm
and I
so
hope
happy
that
to
it won't be
hear-
too long. Say again.
Sorry. No. Go ahead.
I hope it won't be too long until we actually get to see each other face to face.
No, I know. I'd love to just give you a hug. I know.
I know.
I'm glad. Yeah.
Tentative picnic in the near future.
Yeah. Al fresco.
Absolutely.
6 feet apart. Well,
Yeah.
I'm so happy you set this up, Hayda. Thank you so much, and
I'm so happy you're able to do it.
I'm happy everybody hasn't forgotten Francis too. That's great.
Never. Always in our hearts. All right. Lots of love. I'll see you soon, I hope. Mwah.
Yeah, me too. Bye-bye.
Bye.